Monmouth guard Abdi Bashir Jr. receiving a lot of interest. The transfer portal. When you are a 6'7" shooter, that tends to happen. Schools of interest, and let's see, he put out Kentucky, Kansas, Arkansas, Alabama, UCLA, all interested in Bashir. Um, is it a surprise to you that that many blue bloods and big name programs are reaching out to this kid who spent the last 2 years at Monmouth?
Um, I'm gonna be honest, it is. Just because when you look at what he's done, he's not the most efficient. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. Lot of Wade Taylor in this kid. 20 points per game, 18 shots.
Hey,
Special, special. But it works, and he at the end of the day, like I think that's why there's that interest is because he's also within that for percentage, there's also the element of he did shoot 38% from three on 10 attempts for a Monmouth team where he had to create everything. Now, here's my hesitation with him, along with any of these other portal guys. Are they going to be okay minimizing their role? I think about a Keyshawn Hall from UCF. I think he would fit perfectly with UConn if he's willing to do the UConn things to fit perfectly with UConn. If
yeah.
he isn't, he should just go to LSU, who's also on his list, and he can just do whatever he wants. I kind of think of Abdi in the same light. If he's willing to do the little things that um, not quite Kobe Bryant, but like let's say he was able to do some
Yeah.
of the little things that like a Kobe Bryant was able to do for Kentucky, sure. If not, West Virginia needs some do-it-all guys.
I think if you want him to be a do it all guy, I don't think he plays at that level. Because
Right,
part of the reason why he was such an inefficient player is the fact he's 6'7" and 160 pounds
right.
listed at. And that showed around the rim. Like he wasn't finishing strong because he's just at this point not a strong guy. But he is a sniper on high volume and has had shown the ability to create for himself off the dribble. So if you are projecting him to go to one of those schools, it's it's for his role as a shooter, right? You're not going to be asking him to create everything and be the focal point of your offense, but you want him to be a vital cog. And to me, you brought up Kobe Brea. I think someone who I'd look to kind of model after, right? Where if you can be an elite 3 point shooter, now he's not shooting on Brea's insane percentage, but elite shooter at that size who can do a little bit off the bounce for you. I think Bashir can do a little bit more than Brea showed that he could. But I think that's the kind of role you pencil him in for.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. There's one school where I don't think you have to pencil him in for that role, though. UCLA, he could probably go do whatever he wants. Him and
Not
Donovan Dent could just take turns.
no, I think you would have him as a shooter next to Dent.
Agreed, but I think that's your primary role, but I think there's more room for creativity, I would say, at UCLA than maybe some of these other schools.
I think that's well, I don't know. It's Mick Cronin. I think if you're looking for a place with a little bit more freedom, Arkansas might be that. Not because you're going to have that kind of role next to Acuff, but I think Calipari is more likely to give you that freedom than I guess Nate Oates. Nate Oates gives everybody that freedom, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you're looking at Alabama or Arkansas if you want to go that route.
Yeah, I do. I think that's really what it's going to come down to because Kansas now, like Kansas makes sense because Kansas is another one that like they're also in on Adrian Woolley, right? If you're
Mhm.
able to trot out Woolley, Darren Peterson, Bashir, I really like that. And what I like about that is those are three interchangeable guys that I don't think Bashir can necessarily like be your primary ball handler. The same way I'm not sure Woolley or Peterson can also be your primary ball handler, but I think those are three guys that can handle the ball. You know what I mean? And can move the rock. They can bring it up the court, initiate an offense. It might be a little bit more I'm gonna go get mine initiated. But I think if he's able to play a role, I think he would fit great next to Darren Peterson and fingers crossed for Kansas fans, Adrian Woolley.
Yeah, the conversation around Kansas right now and what they'll be next season, fascinating. like what we're going to talk about with them between now and the start of next season and how they look. I don't think any of us expected it to be this kind of seemingly pivotal offseason of Bill Self's tenure, but I think that's kind of where we're at with Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy, just where they're at the moment, but they're like one or two commitments away from it just being okay.
Right. Oh, exactly. Exactly. If you were in Basir's shoes, what would you be looking for, and where would you be favoring?
I'm gonna go get mine. Two 2 years at mom now, straight up. I'm gonna go get mine. I want the biggest bag and I want the biggest roll.
Okay, so you're going to take that wherever it is.
Yes, and the location, the coach, all that is like if all that happens to be with Calipari at Arkansas, if all that happens to be with Self at Kansas, all that's great. Listen, Miami ain't got a lot of players. You know what I mean? Like if Jay wants somebody, I can go down there too.
If the bag is equal between Kansas, Alabama, Kentucky, Arkansas, where where are you most likely to want to go to?
Easiest fit at the moment, in my opinion, is Kansas. I Kentucky doesn't make sense for me, especially after they got Cam Williams
Mhm.
over the weekend. And I'm also just crazy high on a Caden. So like maybe that's a hand up accountability moment in a few months where it's just like I was higher on a Caden than I should have been. So maybe Kentucky does make more sense, but at the moment in this frame, Kentucky doesn't make sense. Um, Arkansas honestly doesn't make sense either. Alabama, I can see just because they don't have a roster yet. I feel like in about 3 weeks, I don't think Alabama is going to make sense. Kansas, I think, is going to make sense throughout this process, though.
I think that's why you jump on Bama now. Because if you want to be in a system where you're going to have freedom, you're going to be able to shoot your 10 threes a game, and people will encourage that and not try and get you to do some other stuff. Playing for Nate Oates is how you do that, right? And they haven't had a guy his size 6'7" who is that kind of true sniper in quite some time. It's been mostly the guards, and he is a guard, but he's a big guard. I think that would make sense why Bama's interested in him. I think that'd be the best fit, I think, for his skill set, where he is penciled into that more shooting role. But for him, you'll be able to expand that a little bit more as well, just with how NATO runs his offense.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is I don't think he's good enough to where if I'm Nate Oates, I stop. And that would be my hesitate if I'm Abdi. The last thing I want to do is jump on Bama quickly. Such and such role is what I view myself as. Nate Oates didn't make a promise. All of a sudden, you're not playing at Bama next year, or you're playing in a more limited role.
You know what the best part is?
What's that?
His twin brother Abdul is one of the best
Mhm.
JUCO players in the country, committed to Auburn. And so if we had
Really?
twin brothers on Auburn and Alabama, that would be a fun little layer to that rivalry.
So then, hold on. Bruce Pearl's a demon. You're not even recruiting the twin brother?
He's
Bruce Pearl
not on this list of who he's setting up Zooms with and everything.
Bruce Pearl is a demon. I couldn't have gained more respect for Bruce Pearl, but I love that.
It'd be a lot of fun. We'll see where Bashir ends up, but they don't make a lot of 6'7" shooters who are that proven at that volume. Um, Gonna be a market for him. One thing I wanted to bring up too, and I apologize for kind of waiting until now to do this, but 2 years at Monmouth, this last year he averaged over 20 per game. First season though, in a much smaller role, averaged only 6.3. Efficiency was roughly the same, but just had a very, very small role. Does that maybe give you some pause that maybe he's a kind of a 1 year, one hit wonder at the Monmouth level? Or are you okay with him just kind of growing into this role?
I think that really just comes down to like the conversations you have with him and his mindset. Um, he definitely would provide me pause. However, if he is actively okay limiting his role, I think I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, because it can be one thing where you want to see that jump happen as a sophomore. We had questions about Chaz Lanier because that jump happened as a senior. I think you'd be far more likely to have those questions with upperclassmen. This was somebody who saw his role increase, saw his production increase while maintaining efficiency. Not many concerns for me from that standpoint, other than how much can he do at a power conference level other than shoot. But it's kind of always being recruited for, at least right now. So we'll see. It can be a good get wherever he ends up.
It is March, and that means that March Madness is upon us. And if you are looking for a place to play, Underdog Fantasy has you covered. Sign up and deposit using code SLEEPERS, that's code SLEEPERS, to receive up to $1,000 in bonus credit plus a free pick. Head over to Underdog Fantasy today and use promo code SLEEPERS to take advantage of this amazing offer.